Hello, chosen one. Have you ever felt like your heart was screaming, but no one could hear you? Not even the people closest to you. You smile, you keep going, you pretend to be okay. But deep inside, there's a storm, a quiet ache that never quite goes away. A weight in your chest that words can't describe. A sense that you were never meant to live like this. And yet you don't know why it feels so heavy. This is not weakness. This is not failure. This is the cry of your soul, the sacred signal of the chosen one within you trying to wake up. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to rise above what this world calls normal. And when a soul carries a divine purpose, the world often misunderstands it. You've probably felt it since childhood, like you were always different, sensitive, perceptive, almost like you could feel things others couldn't. The moods of a room, the pain behind someone's smile, the silent battles people were hiding, and your heart. It broke more easily than others, not because you were fragile, but because your soul was wide open, tuned into a deeper frequency. You were feeling what most people were numb to. That sensitivity was not a flaw. It was a gift, the mark of someone born for something far greater than the ordinary. But the world didn't honor that. Instead, it taught you to hide it, to toughen up, to stay quiet, to stop feeling so much. So like many chosen ones, you learned to suppress your light. You tried to blend in. You buried your knowing. You dimmed your soul just to survive. But deep down, the ache never left. The feeling that you were meant for more. That life wasn't supposed to feel this hollow. That pain you've carried, it wasn't random. It was sacred. You were being prepared. You see, a chosen one doesn't awaken through ease and comfort. They awaken through the tension of not belonging, through the pressure of carrying a soul that won't settle for a numb, lifeless existence. The loneliness, the heartbreak, the rejection, the emotional weight that feels too heavy to explain. All of it was part of your becoming. You were never broken. You were being broken open. Open to truth. Open to healing. Open to remembering who you really are underneath the masks this world forced you to wear. And I know it hurts. I know you've cried silently at night, wondering when things will finally make sense. Wondering why life has felt so unfair. Why your heart has had to endure so much. Why no one seems to see the depth of your struggle. But the truth is this. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are being called. This ache in your chest, the one that keeps showing up when you're alone, is not here to destroy you. It's the divine whisper that says, it's time to remember. It's time to awaken. You are not here to live in the shadows. You are here to rise into your light, because you are the light. You were chosen not because you were perfect, but because your soul has the strength to rise from what others would be crushed by. You were given the burdens not as punishment, but as preparation, to forge your spirit, to strip away what's false, to activate what's eternal within you. And now, that time has come. No more shrinking to be accepted. No more pretending you don't feel what you feel. No more denying your power, your intuition, your deep knowing. This is your soul's signal. The storm you've been running from is actually your rebirth. Every tear you cried in silence was seen. Every heartbreak remembered. Every hidden prayer heard. And the reason your old life has been falling apart, the reason nothing feels the same anymore, is because your soul is done sleeping. The pain you've been carrying is about to become your purpose. But first, you must give yourself permission to feel, to release, to rise. Let yourself grieve who you were forced to be. Let yourself feel the rage, the sorrow, the exhaustion. Then let it cleanse you, because you are standing at the edge of something sacred. Not the end, but the beginning. A beginning your soul has waited lifetimes for. And in this sacred beginning, you don't need to know every step. You only need to say yes to the call that's been echoing through your spirit. You are the chosen one. And this is the moment your life begins to shift. Take a breath. Place your hand on your heart. Feel it, beating not just for survival, but for destiny. You are not alone. You never were. You were simply being prepared for a life unlike anyone else around you. The world needs your light now more than ever. And your soul is ready to shine. Let the old fall away. Let the silent cry become your sacred roar. You are rising now, and this time you're not going back. There are battles you fought that no one will ever understand. Not because they didn't care, but because they simply couldn't see them. They couldn't feel the weight pressing on your chest every morning. They couldn't hear the war raging in your mind. The whispers that told you you weren't enough, that you'd never make it, that something inside you was too broken to fix. But you carried it anyway. You got up when your body wanted to give up. You smiled when your spirit was aching. You showed up for others while quietly bleeding on the inside. And no one saw. No one saw the nights you stared at the ceiling, wondering if the pain would ever end. The moments you begged the universe for a sign that it was all going to mean something. The times you screamed into a pillow, only to wipe your tears and pretend you were fine minutes later. This is the part of your journey that doesn't get celebrated. The part that didn't come with applause, recognition, or support. But it matters. It all mattered. Because what you survived in silence shaped your spirit in sacred ways. You didn't come through those storms by accident. You endured because something ancient and eternal within you refused to break. Even when the world around you said you were too much or not enough. Even when you felt forgotten, invisible, and alone. There was a quiet knowing inside you. A flicker of light that said, this is not the end, keep going. You may not have known why you were in that darkness. You may have questioned your value, doubted your strength, and even felt angry at life for making things so hard. But what you couldn't see then is that every scar was a sacred symbol. Every heartbreak cracked your shell open a little more. Every rejection was redirecting you. Every breakdown was clearing out what didn't belong in your divine becoming. You didn't lose yourself. You were being stripped of everything that was never truly you, and I know. It didn't feel like healing. It felt like chaos. It felt like punishment. But now, looking back, can you feel it? Can you see that you survived things that should have shattered you, and yet somehow you're still here? That's no small thing. That's divine resilience. Not everyone could have made it through what you did. And no, you didn't come out untouched. You carry wounds, yes, but those wounds have turned into wisdom, into compassion, into an unshakable fire. You learned how to sit with your own pain. You learned how to comfort yourself when no one else knew you needed it. You became the healer, the warrior, the guide, all in one. And now, something inside you is changing. You no longer want to just survive. You want to rise, to live with purpose, to stop hiding the depth of what you carry, because within you is a sacred story that others need. A light born in the darkest of places. And maybe that's why your journey was so heavy. Because you weren't just being prepared for yourself. You were being forged to lead others. You were learning how to walk through fire so that you could walk others out of it too. So hear me now, deeply. What tried to destroy you failed. What tried to silence your spirit only made it louder. What tried to bury you didn't know you were a seed. You are not broken. You are becoming. And though they didn't see the battles you fought, your soul remembers, and the universe honors every silent tear you've cried. This is your sacred reward. You get to rise. Not as a victim of your past, but as a living example of what spiritual power looks like when it refuses to be defeated. Let the old story go now. You don't need to carry it anymore. What you've walked through has carved out space in you for divine strength, for unshakable clarity, for a deeper purpose than ever before. This is your permission to let that version of you rest, the one who had to fight alone, the one who never felt seen. Because now, you're stepping into a chapter where you own your power, not in spite of your pain, but because of what it taught you. You didn't just survive, you were chosen to overcome. And now, you begin to remember why. There were times you looked up at the sky and asked, why is this happening to me? Doors closed, people left. Opportunities slipped through your fingers just when you thought you had found your breakthrough. It felt like rejection, like failure, like delay after delay with no end in sight. And maybe a part of you started to wonder, am I cursed, forgotten? Did I miss my moment? But what if I told you none of it was by accident? What if I told you that the very things that felt like loss were actually divine protection? You see, when you carry the spirit of a chosen one, your path is not ordinary. The universe doesn't let you settle. It doesn't allow you to build your life on foundations that can't hold your destiny. So what looked like rejection was redirection. What felt like abandonment was sacred alignment. What you thought was punishment was preparation. You were not being pushed away from your future. You were being positioned for it because your soul has a frequency, and not everything or everyone was meant to travel with you into your highest becoming. There were people who couldn't see your light because they weren't meant to walk in it. There were jobs, cities, relationships, and dreams that had to fall away, not because you failed, but because they didn't match your next level. That delay? It wasn't a denial. It was the divine saying, wait, not this. I have something higher, something holier. But the waiting felt like death. You questioned everything, your timing, your talent, your worth. You saw others rise while you remained still. You watched doors open for people who didn't carry half the heart you do, and that broke you. Quietly, slowly. But in the stillness, something sacred was unfolding. Your soul was being recalibrated. Your vision was being refined. Your energy was being cleansed of attachments that could not follow you into your divine destiny. Because what you're carrying, the calling on your life, it requires a clear vessel. It requires integrity, alignment, depth. It requires you to be so grounded in who you are that no amount of fame, money, or attention could distract you from your purpose. So yes, things had to fall apart. Yes, the delay had to humble you, slow you, refine you. Because your purpose isn't about speed, it's about divine accuracy. You weren't being punished, you were being pruned. So when it's finally time, you don't walk into your next level uncertain or anxious. You walk in as a master of your inner world. You walk in as someone who doesn't just want the light. You are the light. This is the divine setup. Every moment you thought was wasted was secretly working in your favor. Every loss, every lonely night, every no you didn't understand was setting the stage for your yes to arrive in power. And now you're beginning to see it. Things that didn't make sense suddenly do. Connections that drained you have disappeared. Opportunities that once excited you no longer feel aligned. Why? Because you've changed. You've outgrown the timeline you once begged for. You've expanded into a version of yourself that refuses to settle for anything less than sacred. You were never late. You were never off track. The universe didn't forget you. It was waiting for you to remember who you are. You weren't being delayed. You were being aligned. Let that truth sink deep into your bones. You are not behind. You are right on time for a life that is bigger than you imagined, because it's finally aligned with who you've become. So, exhale. Let go of the timelines, the expectations, the guilt, the regret. You didn't miss your calling. You just outgrew the limited version of it. And now, the doors meant for you will open effortlessly, not because you forced them, but because you finally matched their frequency. This is your divine setup, and it's already in motion. And then it happens, not with a trumpet or a loud voice from the sky, but softly, quietly, like a whisper only your soul can hear. Something inside you shifts. At first, you don't even know what's happening. You just begin to notice that the things which once brought you comfort now feel hollow. The people you used to chase no longer feel aligned. The roles you played to survive now feel suffocating. It's not that the world changed. It's you. Your spirit begins to stir. Your eyes, not the ones in your head, but the ones in your soul, begin to open. And suddenly, the life you thought was yours begins to crumble. But what if I told you that this crumbling is sacred, that what feels like a breakdown is actually a breakthrough, because you're not losing your mind. You're remembering your truth. This is the moment the veil lifts. The illusion begins to dissolve. The labels this world gave you, broken, unworthy, too much, not enough, begin to fall away. And beneath it all, you start to see something radiant. You, the real you, the divine you, the soul that existed long before this body, this name, this pain. It's disorienting, isn't it? One part of you is grieving the old, the job, the identity, the beliefs you clung to. And another part is awakening, hungry, alive, pulsing with power. You begin to question everything. What is real? Who am I really? Why am I here? These questions are not signs of confusion. They are the signals of awakening. Your soul is remembering what the world made you forget, that you were never just a body trying to survive. You are a soul here to transform. You are not crazy. You are waking up. And yes, waking up hurts. It rips through illusions. It makes you feel like you're floating between worlds, no longer who you were, but not yet who you are becoming. But don't rush this. This space, this in-between, is holy. It's the cocoon before the wings, the silence before the voice, the void before the vision. You are not lost. You are being reborn. And in this rebirth, you will start to feel things you've long forgotten. Your intuition will grow louder, your sensitivity will deepen, your desire for truth will outweigh your need for comfort. You will crave alignment more than attention, peace more than performance, authenticity more than approval. Because now, you're not living to fit in, you're living to be free, and in your freedom, the divine reveals itself. You begin to sense that you are not alone, that something greater has always been guiding you, walking with you, whispering, you were never meant to live asleep. The veil was never placed to punish you. It was placed so you could choose to awaken. And now, you've chosen. You've answered the inner call. You've said yes to the mystery. And that yes is enough to move mountains. The path ahead may still be unclear, but the light within you is brighter than ever. Let yourself shed what no longer serves. Let yourself grieve what must be left behind. Let yourself trust the unraveling, because everything you lose in this awakening is making space for everything sacred that is coming. You are no longer who you were, and that's the gift. This is your turning point, the moment the veil lifts, the beginning of your remembering. There comes a moment, not loud, but undeniable, when you begin to remember, not a memory of the mind, but of the soul. You begin to feel it, the spark you thought was gone, the voice you buried under years of silence, the light you dimmed just to make others feel comfortable. You start to hear the whispers of your younger self, not the child in age, but the child in spirit. The one who believed they could move mountains, speak truth, dance freely, love fully, dream wildly. The one who hadn't yet been told to shrink. And now you realize something that changes everything. Your light was never lost. It was only hidden. Hidden beneath fear, beneath shame, beneath the opinions of those who could not see your greatness, because they were afraid of their own. You see, the world often fears what it cannot control, and your power, your raw, radiant being, was never meant to be controlled. So they called you too much when you were simply overflowing with divine fire. They called you dramatic when your emotions were deep rivers of ancient knowing. They called you selfish when you dared to choose yourself. They tried to silence your roar because it threatened the comfort of their cages. But that roar, it never died. It only waited. And now it rises. Because something inside you is done apologizing, done hiding, done shrinking to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold your expansion. You are reclaiming your voice, reclaiming your presence, reclaiming the divine essence that was always yours. And this is not rebellion. This is remembrance. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to who you were before the world told you who to be, before the trauma, before the betrayal, before the masks and the roles and the constant shape-shifting just to feel safe. You're returning to your wholeness, to the part of you that knew your worth even in silence, to the part that walked with power even when no one clapped, to the part that burned with purpose even when no one believed. And now you stop waiting for permission. You stop seeking validation in spaces that never saw your soul. You rise, not in arrogance, but in alignment. You rise, not to impress, but to express. You rise because you finally understand that your presence is a gift, not a problem. And this reclaiming is not just for you, it's for the generations of silenced voices behind you, for the inner child still longing to be seen, for the ancestors whose light lives in your DNA. Your healing is ancestral. Your rising is revolutionary. Your truth is liberation. Because when a chosen one remembers their power, they don't just change their life, they shift timelines. And so you begin to move differently. You speak with clarity. You walk with grace and unshakable peace. You no longer beg to be chosen. You know that you are, not by man, by God, by purpose, by divine design. And the world will try again. It will throw distractions, doubts, and familiar triggers to pull you back into old patterns. But this time, you'll recognize them, and you'll remember you've outgrown the illusion. You've reclaimed your fire. Let them say what they will. Let them misunderstand your glow. Your light is not up for debate. Your path is not up for discussion. This is your sacred return. You are not here to be small. You're here to be so fully yourself that everything unaligned falls away. So breathe deep, feel your power come home, and walk forward, not as the version of you the world molded, but as the one you were always meant to be. The power they tried to silence is singing now, louder, brighter, freer. This is your resurrection, and nothing, no one can put you back in the box you've broken. There comes a point on this journey where the fire no longer scares you, because you realize you were never meant to run from the fire. You were meant to become it. You stop praying for the storm to pass, and instead you learn how to stand inside it with power. Not because the pain has disappeared, but because something inside you has awakened. You now know every flame that tried to consume you only refined you. Every breakdown wasn't your end, it was your alchemy. You've been transformed not by ease, but by the intensity of everything you thought would destroy you. The betrayal made you clear. The loss made you deep. The rejection made you whole. Because now you see what you couldn't see before. Your scars aren't proof of your weakness. They're proof of your becoming. Each one a story of survival. Each one a reminder that you're still here. Not broken, rebuilt, not bitter, braver, not defeated, divinely reborn. You've walked through the fire, and instead of ashes, you carry gold. There's a new clarity in your spirit now. A holy strength that can't be shaken by opinions, noise, or the shallow applause of this world. You're no longer living to be liked. You're living to be aligned, and that changes everything. You no longer seek permission to shine. You no longer shrink so others feel comfortable. You no longer ask, "Am I enough?" Because you've realized you are more than enough. You've stopped waiting to be saved, because you've remembered that you were born to save yourself. You've stopped doubting the path, because you've become the path. Now you walk differently, not in arrogance, but in truth, not to prove anything, but because you've nothing left to prove. You carry a stillness in your soul now, the kind only born from being broken and choosing to rise anyway. You look in the mirror and you no longer see wounds. You see wisdom. You no longer see what was taken. You see what was unlocked, because everything you lost made room for what's real. Everything that didn't last made way for what's eternal. And everything that burned down cleared the way for what's sacred to rise. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are the power that emerged from it. And maybe they still don't see you. Maybe they still talk. But it doesn't shake you now, because you know who you are. You've walked through fire, and you've come out gold. So no, you won't lower your light to make others feel safe. You won't dim your fire to keep the peace. You're no longer here to survive. You're here to live, fully, freely, divinely. From this point forward, Your choices come from intention, not insecurity. From purpose, not pressure. From truth, not trauma. You've been tried, you've been tested, and you've been tempered. By divinity, you carry fire in your bones now, clarity in your heart, grace in your steps. This is what becoming gold looks like. Not perfect, not painless, but pure, forged by love, by loss, by light. So keep walking, keep speaking truth, keep honoring your soul, keep trusting the burn, because the fire is not your enemy, it is your initiation. You are gold now, untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. There's a stirring inside you now, a quiet knowing that won't let you sleep through life anymore. A pull so deep it feels like a voice echoing from your own bones, saying, you were made for more. Because you didn't come here just to heal, you came here to awaken, to rise from the ashes not only whole, but holy, to carry the light of all you've survived and offer it to the world as a torch. This ache you've felt, this longing that has followed you since you were young, it's not restlessness. It's a reminder, a whisper from your soul. You were born with a mission, and that mission isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like stages, crowds, or titles. Sometimes, your sacred purpose is the way you hold space for someone's tears, the way you speak truth when others stay silent, the way your presence itself becomes medicine for a hurting world. You are not here by accident. You were sent, planted in this exact timeline, in this exact body, with these exact scars, because your soul chose this, chose you. There are things only you can do, frequencies only you can carry, visions only your soul remembers, and the world, it needs you now, not a watered-down version of you, not the masked, pleasing, edited version. It needs the real you, the raw, radiant, unfiltered you, the one who remembers where they came from. You've spent so long waiting for the right moment, the right sign, the right level of confidence. But what if I told you, you are the sign? What if all this time you've been waiting for what's already been inside you? The call won't stop, because it was never meant to. It is divine. And divinity does not beg, it beckons. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to say yes. Yes to the mission. Yes to the becoming. Yes to the path that feels both terrifying and holy. You were not chosen because you're flawless. You were chosen because you're faithful. And now is the moment when you stop playing small. Now is the moment you stop hiding your light under fear, because someone out there is praying for exactly what you carry. They don't need a savior. They need a mirror. And your life, your healing, your courage, your words might just be it. So this is your sacred invitation to stop waiting and start walking, to stop doubting and start declaring, to stop shrinking and start shining, You are no longer here just to survive cycles. You are here to break them, to rebuild what was lost, to remind others of what they forgot about themselves. This is your divine assignment, and the universe will move mountains the moment you move your feet. Doors will open, people will appear. The way will rise up to meet you, because destiny doesn't need you to be fearless. It just needs you to say yes anyway. This is your moment, not later, not someday, now. Breathe that in, feel the sacredness of it. Feel your ancestors cheering, feel your spirit rising. You are not just healing anymore, you are becoming the healer. Not because you've escaped pain, but because you walked through it with your eyes open. You are the answered prayer, the living prophecy, the walking embodiment of what happens when a soul remembers its light. The call is not outside you, it's in your chest, in your voice, in your story. It's always been you. Now go, not because you have to, but because you were born to. No, this message didn't find you by accident. This isn't coincidence. This is confirmation, a divine whisper echoing through time and space, finally arriving in front of you, because your soul is ready. Not someday. Not when you're more healed, not when you're more confident. Now, you may not have understood why life brought you here, why the path was so lonely, why the pain had to go so deep. But all of it, every heartbreak, every delay, every sleepless night, it was guiding you here, to this moment. Because this is the sign your soul has been waiting for. The nudge, the inner knowing, the divine reminder that you are not lost, you are awakening, you are not broken, you are being rebuilt in the image of your destiny. You are not too late, you are exactly on divine time. You may have forgotten who you were, but the universe never did. Heaven never did. Your calling never did. It's waited for you patiently, gently, even when you gave up, even when you shut down, even when you said, maybe I'm not meant for more. But you are. You are the chosen one. And deep down, you've always known, even if you tried to run from it. Even if the world tried to make you doubt it, even if you buried your light just to fit in, you couldn't unknow your truth. You couldn't outrun your purpose, because your soul remembers. And now, it's time for you to remember too. Look how far you've come. Look how many times you got back up. Look how, even when your voice trembled, your spirit kept speaking. You didn't come this far to dim now. You came to rise. This isn't just another video. This is your activation, a divine appointment disguised as content. A message that feels like it was written just for you, because in many ways, it was. The world might not understand your path. They weren't meant to. Your journey is sacred. It was crafted between you and the divine, long before you arrived here. So stop second-guessing what your spirit already knows. Stop asking for permission to be who you already are. You don't need another sign. This is the sign, the confirmation that your time is not coming, it has come. This is your soul's remembrance. This is your spiritual rebirth. This is the day your inner flame becomes unshakable, because from this moment on, you will never walk the same. You'll carry light in your eyes, power in your voice, peace in your bones. Not because life got easier, but because you got aligned. You are not the same person who started this journey. You are no longer asleep. You are no longer afraid. You are no longer pretending to be small. You are rising, fully, finally, and forever. So go ahead. Lift your head, open your heart, and step into the life that was always meant for you. This is it. The moment you stop doubting and start embodying. The moment you stop waiting and start walking. The moment you stop fearing and start remembering. You are the chosen one, and your life, from this moment forward, will never be the same.